Okay, cool. Could you start by introducing yourself, please?
Definitely. So, name Patrik Sättermon, in the esport world, more known as cArn. Used to be a Counter-Strike 1.6 player. I'm now the Chief Gaming Officer and co-owner of Fnatic, which is a British-based esport organization, but very much with a global approach. We have 45 plus players from the world. We are engaged in 8 different titles, and we have 10 different teams.
Cool. And we're here for the Vainglory Spring Championships this week. And what are your sort of thoughts on Vainglory in general, Patrik? And how do you see it sort of comparing to other MOBAs in the esports landscape today?
Sure. I mean, inherently, as someone that grew up with, well, first of all Nintendo, I guess, but eventually PC and broadband, keyboard and mouse, ball mouse, optical mouse, laser mouse, whatever, you have a certain amount of hesitation to new kinds of esports. Until maybe 2 years ago, everything was played on PC or console. That's basically it, right? Since then, a lot of things have happened. VR came into the world, still not in a competitive way, but definitely there has been a lot of movement and development on mobile esports. And being a bit more sober and objective about it, you realize soon that this is an amazing opportunity for esports, growing in new regions, reaching a completely new audience that maybe didn't have the disposable income to acquire a computer and a broadband connection, but having a smartphone today, and one that is good enough to play with, it's like $100, $150, $200 maybe, and a cheap subscription or a Wi-Fi connection, and you can compete. You can do it everywhere. You can do it on the road. That's super exciting. Now you are quite rigid by being a PC gamer. You need this setup. You need this 24 plus inch monitor and a computer and mouse, power and whatnot. But what we realize is that games can actually be very competitive. They can be very immersive, viewer friendly, also on a smartphone. And I think we are in the infancy still. But being a part of this franchise model, working with Christian and his team at Super EV Megacorp, it's just exciting. I think they have a lot of things going right for them. They are the early movers, but they're not restless. They are innovating. They are creating the best player experience on a touchscreen, right? So it's new technology. It's a new way of doing esports, but the core is still the same. The formats are similar to what we known before. The viewing it, watching it, resonates very well with the mobile audience, but also FPS audience such as myself, right? So I think we're only seeing kind of like the first steps. Of course, more competition is around the horizon, but these guys, being the early mover, creating events such as this one here in London and everything they're doing and the growth of player base, I think we're going to see a lot of great things from Vainglory and also Super EV Megacorp for many, many years.
And I wanted to ask, why Vainglory as well? Because Fnatic, you're in the big esports. The Vainglory Worlds, the Spring Championship, I think is $75,000 prize pool. So it's obviously not as big as those other games like League of Legends. Do you see it not overtaking them, but do you see it growing more in years to come? And what's the selection process for games as well that Fnatic takes?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you definitely have a crossover, right? I play FPS, that's my core, but I can definitely watch MOBA, I can definitely watch FIFA and sport titles and whatever it is, right? And that's not only me, that's esport as a whole. I mean, we know this already. Similar to maybe you can watch ice hockey, well, if you're from the Nordics or Canada or America, and also enjoy football. Fnatic thrives from being diverse, to being fast-moving, to being early on new opportunities. We're not throwing ourselves over things, we're not randomly jumping into things, but I think we have a good gut feeling in terms of what makes a great esports, and this comes from 20 years of learnings and being a part of esports, 12 years operating a team, and hopefully what we think is one of the best teams and successful brands in esports throughout the eras of the FPS titles, moving into MOBAs, back to FPS, adding a bit of FIFA, now adding another ingredient which is smartphone, mobile, MOBAs. So why? I mean, there are multiple criteria, but what we have figured out by time is that the vision of a game developer, because they are ultimately the IP holder, and that comes with great responsibility, right? We very soon connected with them in a way that, okay, these guys gets it. We have a solid opportunity here to. It's not about like monetizing anything. It's about building a legacy. It's about telling a storyline. Okay, we're picking these guys up, we train them, we help them out, we promote them, we make a great team, and we are part of this circuit, which today is called Vainglory 8. But we don't have like a, how do you say, like boilerplate or a ready formula, okay, X, Y, Z, +1 divided by 8, pi, whatever. It's just a general assessment and observation, and yeah, putting faith in people that are working really hard and has a healthy opinion on how esports should move forward. Sometimes this goes wrong, but in the most cases we've been successful to kind of dance around and navigate through the many opportunities we have. Just think about it, let's say 15 years back, the esport titles then, and even sooner actually, they were not really developed to be an esport. It was the enthusiastic community that shaped them, customized them, hacked them in order to make them competitive, viewable. But today, a lot of game studios, probably thousands actually today, are trying to develop esport titles on console, PC, VR and smartphones. But we have our limitation obviously, because there is a dilution of focus and the financial side as well if you just run into all games at the same time. But there is a scalability as well, because the stuff we have learned from, let's say, League of Legends, the CSGO, FIFA, you can apply certain knowledge into a new title, right? In terms of how to train, the mental training, diets, hardware. We run our own hardware range because we realize we want to control this ourselves. We don't want to put this into the hands of someone else. We do our own headsets, we do our own mouse, we do our own keyboards, and I think that's something we're going to further think about, right? Can we over time do something in smartphone? Can we improve the player experience as well? Because again, I said it many times already, I guess, but we are in the infancy, right? That esport as a whole is not only smartphones. Like, how will the future esports be played? And with so many unknowns around that, and just looking at the history, how fast things are changing, we always need to be on our toes, speaking to game devs. And yeah, now we have zoomed in when it comes to at least mobile esports, that Super Evil Megacorp. Over time, might be more titles from them or other people, right? But I think again, we're all in this together. What's great for one community actually helps in most cases the other community as well, in terms of growing esports, making it more acceptable and available across the globe. And speaking about across the globe, longest sentences ever here, but I think smartphone has the greatest opportunity there is out there when it comes to esport as a vehicle to open up new regions. That's purely, not purely, but it's from a marketing standpoint, is to further develop esports. So Southeast Asia, Africa, Latin America, smartphones, we talked about it a bit earlier, but that's also how we look at it from Fnatic, right? We have a merchandise range, we have a products, we want to unlock global sponsorships. How do we reach this audience that we before couldn't reach? And I think Vainglory solves a lot of these issues we had before.
That's cool. I wanted to ask as well, as the sort of host in the UK for Vainglory, Fnatic, what's that been like? You've got Palmatoro, UK talent there. What are your thoughts on homegrown talent? Because as I understand, Fnatic doesn't have loads of British players, but is that something you don't really take that into consideration, nationality, do you, when you pick up rosters?
Yeah, so certain games are more popular in other regions, and then nationality becomes a thing because you're limited into that region, although you can definitely import, but then you might have issues with the language or visas, whatever that might be. But yeah, choosing the London franchise made a lot of sense. We are London based, we have a pop-up store, we have an office with 30 plus people. I even lost the count of that. It's growing very rapidly. We do not have local players. Our guys are still in school. We have one guy in Scotland and two in Germany, but I guess over time we will more and more bring them over to London and have it somewhat of a base. Speaking about this particular event, bear in mind, people, we are not involved in the rule sets or the decision making or whatever, but we have helped on a promotional level. So we did this fan event at Bunker, our pop-up store, a few weeks ago to kind of like get people locally a bit excited and teach them about Vainglory. We have helped them hopefully connect the dots here with local production companies and the venues, whatever. We have some fan area here in the venue as well, and obviously we're proud to be here as the London franchise in London. Now it's down to our guys to get ready, to practice and compete and hopefully go far in the tournament. So that's kind of like how we have shifted our focus now, when we have helped with the venue setup and the promotional events. Now it's all about the sports for us.
Thanks very much for your time, Patrik. Cheers. Thank you.
Appreciate it.